Let the church say amen. God is a mighty God. What a mighty God we serve. Heaven and earth adore him. Angels bow before him. What a mighty God we serve. We can sit here today and celebrate the achievement of our children. Some of you sit here to see your grandchildren, an extension of yourself on second or third generation. Can't you see how God is wonderful? Can't you see how God is mighty? Can't you see how God is able to make way when there seems to be no way? Because some of you sitting here today, we agree, if you look back over the landscape of time, you would have never thought you would see this day coming before you. Do I have some witness here today? Won't you give God some praise? He's worthy. He's worthy. And I want to thank you all once again for the honor. And thank you for the recognition. But I want you to know, to all of our achievers, you are the reason we are here. Amen. You are the reason why we are here. If you will just turn with me to the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16, instead of chapter 15, chapter 16, verse 4. I want to thank all of our worshipers, worship leader, and all of you who done such a great job. 1 Samuel 16, beginning from the 4th verse. Are we there? 1 Samuel 16, 4. So Samuel did what the Lord said. He went to Bethlehem, and the elders of the town trembled at his coming. He said, "Do you come peacefully?" "Peacefully I have come," he said, "to sacrifice to the Lord. Now go and sanctify yourself. Come with me to the sacrifice." Then sanctified Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. So it was when they came that he looked at Eliab and said, "Surely this guy must be the Lord's anointed who stands before me." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Don't look at his appearance or at his height or his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as human beings see. For man looks at the outward appearance, but I, the Lord, look at the heart." So Jesse called Abimelech and made him pass before Samuel. Neither has the Lord chosen this one. Jesse made Shammah. Jesse brought the 7 sons before Samuel. And the Lord said, "No, God has not chosen any of these." Then Samuel said to Jesse, "Are these all your children?" I know somebody got to be here because God won't make mistake. "Are these all you have here?" Then he said, "There remains just one." Somebody say one. "The youngest, and he is in the field taking care of my sheep." Samuel said, "Go and send for him, for we will not sit down until he comes." And so they brought David. And David, now he was ruddy and bright eyes. He had good looking, and the Lord said, "Arise and anoint him, for this is the one." You're the one. You are the reason why we're here. God bless the word, sanctify it to our heart. For Christ's sake, amen. Amen. My brothers and sisters, it never ceases to amaze me how God always blows our mind. And for some of you, you will agree that God works mysteriously. If that was not true, then the hymn writer would not write the hymn, that title, God moves in a mysterious way. He wonders to perform. He plants his footsteps in the sea and rides upon the storm. Now, if this seems somewhat difficult for you young people to understand, or you can't relate to that, consider what the second stanza states. His purposes were ripping fast, considering unfolding every hour. The bud may have a bitter taste, but sweet will be the flower. In other words, even if the early start seems difficult or disastrous for you, please understand that a happy ending will come one day. And some of you young people who are here today can attest to the fact that looking back over the past school year, you had some stuff that was rough for you to begin with. Some of you started with fooling around until in the second quarter, the light bulb turns on. You realize that you needed to do something or else you will flunk the course. And some of you started and are trying to turn in homework on time. You wait until mama or daddy, somebody has to fuss with you. But looking back now, your parent and grandparent can say, I'm proud of what she's done. I'm glad I have a grandson who makes me feel so proud. We gather here today because all around the world, people are celebrating Children's Day. It so happened that today coincides with the time where we honor our children here at St. Luke. Those who have worked hard academically to achieve success in the past school year. I come this morning and I chose the text before you, the 1 Samuel Old Testament text, where we hear about the story of a young man called David. David is approximately between 13 and 15 years old. He's the eighth of his father Jesse's children. Samuel had been sent to the land of Bethlehem to anoint one of Jesse's 8 children, because Saul, who is now king of Israel, had turned around and disobeyed God. And the Lord was in search of a new king who would be faithful to carry out God's command. If you read 1 Samuel chapter 13, beginning from the 13th through the 14th verses, Saul is being instructed by Samuel not to offer sacrifice, even if it means everything seemed to be falling apart. But when Saul looked around and Samuel was delaying to come, and he saw the Philistine coming, encroaching upon him, he could not stand any longer. He offered sacrifice, when in fact it was not his job to offer the sacrifice. On 2 occasions, Saul disobeyed God. In 1 Samuel 15, verse 11, God sent him to kill the Philistine. And instead of killing everybody, Saul left the king that he should have killed. He took the fat of all of the leftover. He cattle out of the cattle and everything that he was asked to destroy. On 2 occasions, God realized that Saul had disobeyed him. The Old Testament text tells us that God had a regret that he chose Saul. Oh, there's times that our attitude will cause the Lord to be regret. And having a regret for God will cause you and I to lose our spot in the place. The text before us introduces 3 things that I want you to consider. The first thing we need to know that prejudging others is not the right thing. Or prejudice about other people is not a right thing to do. Just because a person looks good does not mean the heart is good. We learn to know that sometimes things are not always what it appears to be. This is exactly what goes on in our today's society. Oftentimes, many of our children are mischaracterized and they are prejudged because of how they carry themselves. I must admit that I had a problem with the young man who sacked their pants as if to say there's no belt in the stove. I got a problem with the child who walk around and the hair look all nappy and they think they try to impress a young girl. When I was growing up, I was told that comb belongs with the hair. And if you want a girl to love you, you don't have to act crazy in front of him. Every now and then, our children get reason for people to misjudge them. But in reality, our society often judge them with whether they look good or not. I heard somebody talking about black males. And the reality is most of our males are always in trouble. Between 17 to 34, we find them in trouble. But can I tell you, sometimes the prejudice is not always the truth about who they are. Oftentimes, many of them are mischaracterized. I heard Maya Angelou, who once wrote, "Prejudice is a burden that confuses the past. It threatens the future and renders the present inaccessible." In other words, if you prejudge somebody before you get to know them, it causes you to be confused or not know who you're talking about. Just because the person looks raggedy does not mean they don't have brain in your head. I understand sometimes all of us have all of the dollar, but we got no sense. But you got to learn to know somebody before you judge them. Society tends to misjudge our children. When we become so prejudiced, we have no room for knowing a person for who he or she is. The second thing the text introduces to us is that promotion of a person comes from God. Don't you know that nobody promotes anybody but God alone? Yes, children, you have to work hard, because if you want to be promoted to the next grade, you have got to work hard. But it begins with God. In fact, if you read David's letter, the Psalm on the 75th Psalm, David looks back in retrospect after years of his promotion. He could write the 75th Psalm as the confirmation. He says in Psalm 75:6, verse 7, "Promotion comes neither from the east nor from the west, not from the south or even from the north. But God is the judge of everything. God puts down some and God exalts another. The Lord alone is able to raise her up when nobody else can. God is the one who is certified. It's God who certified. It's God who affirmed who we are. If society tries to misjudge our children, don't you give up on them. I got 3 boys in my home. Every now and then I learn to fuss and tell them who they are. We got to remind them, because society judges you does not mean you have to conform with who they think you are. You may not look good in their eye, but God sees you for who you are. My brothers and my sisters, the Lord alone is able to raise up anybody God wants. Nobody else can do it but God alone. But the Lord wants us to participate. In other words, we have to learn to do our part. If you're going to be promoted, God needs you to stay hard and work hard. Perhaps there are some of you here today who might be feeling overlooked. You've been despised or ignored, thinking that you have no value because that's how folk have made you to believe. Maybe you are not the teacher's favorite. Or maybe if you are an adult, the supervisor does not appreciate what you do. If you feel unappreciated, which makes you feel like giving up, please understand that God, in his own perfect timing, the Lord will reward you. No matter how long it takes, somehow, somewhere, God will reward you. In God's own perfect timing, you will be promoted. The psalmist says, some put their trust in chariots, some put their trust in horses, but we will call upon the name of the Lord our God. The word says, trust in the Lord with all of thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding, but in all of thy way acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. When we learn to acknowledge God, God will promote us. The Bible tells us that after Samuel arrived to Jesse's house, he was told to bring all of his sons. Jesse brought in everybody he thought was going to be there. But he had no clue David needed to be there for the sacrifice. Perhaps because David being young and he's taking care of the father's flock, he thought David must not be qualified. As a matter of fact, David did not look like a king product. Even the prophet Samuel thought the same thing. Samuel even got carried away by the height and stature of Eliab. Who is Eliab? Eliab is a tall looking, huge, handsome young man, thinking this must be the Lord's anointed. But God said to Samuel and said the same thing to Jesse. Don't think as I think. For you be careful how you judge somebody because of their appearance. God says most of the time we choose it based on the assumption of what we think. Then God tells him, for man looks on the outward appearance, but our God, I look at the heart. In other words, just because somebody look good does not mean they got good character. Just because he dresses good does not mean he's good looking. You can be good and you bad on the inside. Just because she looks good, smells good, does not mean she got good character. Sometimes the look can be deceiving. We got to be careful how we judge people because of how they love. Be careful how you think. Your children, they are all different. Being a father now, Reverend Bly, I come to realize that my children are all different. And I learned to treat them, Sister Johnson, just how everybody needs to be treated. But you and I need to learn that everybody does not look the same. Even identical twins are not the same. Can I preach it to somebody? Because you need to know sometimes our prejudice about people causes us to miss the opportunity of having a good relationship with that person. Every now and then, we learn to judge people before we get to know them. But when God judges the heart. When your heart is right with God, God will put you in place. When your heart is right, God will set you up. Folk can keep you down the long they want to. But when time comes, God will raise you up. Nobody can stop what God has for you. Somebody said what God got for you is always for you. Nobody, no devil in hell will stop it. What the Lord got for you will always be for you. But it that the Lord has, nobody can stop it. Can nobody do you like Jesus? Can nobody do you like the Lord? Can nobody do me like the Lord? So God told Samuel, he must look at the outward appearance, but our God look at the heart. If the heart, it is the heart that says who we are. In many instances, it does not take too long for you to know what's on a person's heart. You know, no matter how long you try to fake it, to make it, it's going to come out, will it? Sociologist says, and I made a statement perhaps to you before. When you meet a person for the first time, Stan, their life appears before you. It's like you're sitting down and you're looking at someone on a silver screen. You get to know them. But can I ask you to do yourself a favor? Before you mischaracterize someone, get to know them. Because look can sometimes be deceiving. God alone sees the heart. Nobody understands how a person character looks like.
But God knows. God knows. God knows. If the heart is not right, God knows. There's a lady by the name of Helen Keller. She says the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or touched, but they must be felt from the heart. See, a lot of us, I made a statement some time ago. If a person has a bad heart, it's difficult for them to love people. And sometimes they will pretend, how you doing? Good to see you. A person who's not happy with people, never happy with themselves. The Bible says out of the heart flows the issues of life. You can find somebody, it won't take you long. Just look at the demeanor. Always puff up. Never smile. There's something about the heart that tells you the facial expression you find. Some of them feel will tell you, I don't want you in my space. Just get away now. It's the heart. And because of that, we're not careful, we will end up in sometime making wrong assumptions. Because not everything that glitters. Am I here by myself? Just because it's shining is not gold. Even the bride can shine. And the silver can shine sometimes. Not everything that glitters is gold. And just because you come to church on a Sunday morning does not make you to be a Christian. Yeah, because you've been in the church for a long time does not make you to be a Christian. Just because your name is on the roll does not make you to be a Christian. But your workfolk will know, because if you are a Christian, your life will tell somebody. I don't know about you, but I come to realize that everything that glitters is not always gold. I come to realize that sometimes the devil can be in disguise. You got to learn to know that the Lord will call you, will take you and give you instant. Don't you know that God judges just from the heart? After Samuel brought everybody, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh. Wait a minute. Is this all? I know God making a mistake. Are these all you had? In Samuel's mind, something is not adding up. Something is not adding up. I saw Eliab. I saw Shemaiah. I saw Amminadab. Everybody passing. I thought this got to be God's anointing. But after the 7 songs, then came the last. Sometimes God always saves the last for the best. Some of you here can identify with that. If you were brought up in a large family, sometimes you were the scapegoat. Sometimes you were the bad sheep or the black sheep. I don't know why they always call it black sheep. But somehow you were the talk about. And sometimes it seemed like nobody thought something would become of you. And sometimes we got to understand, just because you've been misjudged, just because people think you won't mount to anything, don't you give up, because the God you serve got your name on God's roll. When people try to count you out, God counts you in. When they're trying to erase your name, God said put it back on my road, when they're trying to think that nothing will become of you, you got to let them know the God I serve is more than able. He may not come when I want him, but I know he's an on-time God. If you think I won't amount to anything now, just wait and see what God will do for me. Children, I got something to tell you. Some of you were growing up, you will go through some trial and tribulation. Sometimes your friend will misjudge you. Your own family will think nothing will come about you. You got to learn to know if God got something for you, God will bring it to pass. What the Lord got for you, it will be for you. Can't nobody change what God had for you. They will try their best. Some of them will try to keep you down. They will try to suppress you. They will do all they can to keep you sitting down. But when the Lord gets ready, when the Lord gets ready, I said when God gets ready, when God gets ready, when the Lord gets ready, when God gets ready, when the Lord gets ready, I don't care what somebody do for you. You got to understand, if they try to keep you down, the more they keep you down, the more God prepared you. Sometimes it takes preparation. You got to learn to be willing for God to prepare you. Every now and then, every now and then, every now and then, God learns to keep you down to prepare you. But when the Lord gets ready, I said when God gets ready, no matter how long they try to keep you down, God will raise you up. God will. God will. God will. God will. In the Lord's own time, God will raise you up. God will raise you up. When they're trying to keep you down, the Lord will raise you up. In the Lord on time. Sometimes it take years. Sometimes it take months. Sometimes it take days. But God will. Can I say God will? Give somebody a high five. Say God will. 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 You know, I told y'all, Sister Maggie, one of these days I'm going to tell you my story. But it ain't right yet. I'm not going to tell you now. I know what God can do. I know what God can do. Can I tell you that God can make a way out of no way? Can I tell you that sometimes when they try to keep you down, God will prepare you every now and then. Sometimes, Brother Johnson, man, you got to stay down how long God wants it. But that time is a preparation time. Sometimes God wants you to mature enough. Sometimes God wants you to stay there for a little while. Every now and then, God keeps you there for a reason. But when the Lord gets ready, when God gets ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. God will. God will let you up. So they brought David. And then God told Samuel, anoint him. He's the one. And when David came, he saw everybody standing. You're the reason why we're all here. We've been waiting for this day. Yes. See, and that brings us to our final point. Not only we talk about prejudice a people. Not only do we talk about, what was the second point? You forgot? Preaching of people. See, when a preacher preaching, you got to know what they're preaching about. What's the second point? Huh? Mischaracterization. That was the first. That's promotion. The last point is what? Is what? Promotion. Preparation opens for promotion. If you don't prepare yourself, don't expect God to bless you. See, our children need to know we live in a white society. It's not going to change. Ayana, it's not going to change. It's not going to change. Michelle, Danielle, it's not going to change. Janice, it's not going to change. It will always be here. Some of you have been through it for years. But just because it is their culture does not mean we got nothing to offer. We got to learn to prepare ourselves. Because preparations allows us to have a place. When Harold Major announced to us about the achievement he made, he felt proud of himself. He had every reason to feel assertive. Because if you're in a culture that is so dominant and suppressive, and God picks you up and raises you up, you ought to be thankful, not to be proud and arrogant, but grateful that God can look beyond everybody else and lift you up. But you got to prepare yourself. If the paper is due, stay away from hanging out and do the project. Stop playing the Nintendo games and the Wii. Do the work, because if you prepare yourself, nobody will keep you down. Sister Elsie, my father used to tell me, I got nothing to give you, any of you, my children. The only thing I got for you is education. I went to one of the best high schools in my country. Elite. My sister didn't go far. Sister Macy, they chose to stay home to cook food. Today they call me every now and then. I tell them, I don't want to say that to my wife. I said, man, little girl wasted their time. They didn't prepare themselves. Now they become a burden for me. I can't neglect them, but I wish they had listened to our Father. Preparation opens positions. Preparation helps you to be in place. When the enemy thinks you can't get there, God prepared you for that place. But you got to learn to prepare yourself, mind, body, and soul. The same thing with the church. If you're not preparing, God won't lift you up. Some of us got bad attitude. That's why God don't raise us up. Oh, Reverend, be careful. Yes, I'm preaching that. Because the Bible says in James 4 and verse 10, armor yourself therefore under the mighty arm of God. God will lift you up. Something about the church may not always be to your liking, but don't you criticize it on the outside. Come in and fix it, because that's your part of your preparation. God knows why he got you here. There's a reason why you here. God wants you to make a difference in somebody's life. So children, you're the reason we're here. God brought us here to celebrate you. 3 things I want you to take in your heart. Have a good heart. Have a good heart. Have a good heart. Your heart determines your attitude. You heard the recognition they gave you, Greg. You heard it, Raquan. It would take you a long way if you got a good heart. Secondly, have a good spirit. Sister Gladys talked about her nephew, her grandson. And she felt proud. And they talk about you being a comedian too, Raquan. That's good. Good spirit. Something about the good spirit is contagious. It draws people to who you are. There's something about the spirit that contracts people. But if you got a mean old stare to everybody who comes around. Why are you always serious like this? That's who I am. And you give them a chance, that's who I is. Have a good heart. Have a good spirit. But lastly, learn to have faith in God. If Jesus didn't have faith, he would have never made the cross. Because the cross is a symbol of degradations and humiliation. But Jesus had faith that the Father will not turn his promises around. When God got something in store for you, you got to learn to have faith in the Lord. Have faith when it seems like it's still far from reaching you. You got to learn that faith in the Lord will make mountains to be moved. Faith in the Lord will cause your enemy to become the footstool. Faith in the Lord will cause the cloud that seems to dark to become clear one day. Faith is the hope that helps us to reach our goal. You got to learn to have faith, because faith in the Lord produces a desired goal being reached. I want every eye closed, every head bowed. I celebrated this day with the children, and I'm grateful that I'm part of their lives today. God, I praise you. I praise you. I wonderfully praise you. I pray, oh God, for these children. Future, pray for us, the adults. Keep us in your path, we pray. Amen.